Hi, my name is Abe Mikell. I'm the former offensive line coach and offensive coordinator at Stuarts High School, a 2A school here in Virginia. My contact information is there. Just so you guys know, I'm no longer coaching, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about this presentation. I love talking football and especially offensive line fundamentals and belly, which we'll get to in our next session that we'll work on. So, um, in college, I played at a small D3 school in Tennessee, the University of the South, or Solani. When I was there, we predominantly ran flexbone my first 3 years under Coach Mike Summers. Um, and then we switched to a Nebraska style option offense, but it was still option based. And in my early coaching career, I really adopted that flexbone mentality. Coming out of college, I was a head coach and offensive coordinator and eventually a defensive coordinator too. Um, but shortly after that, I moved to a new position. And from 2006 to 2023, I was at Stuarts High School. Around 2016, we moved from more of a traditional under center wing T to our pistol wing T. And in that time, we were fortunate enough to have some really great athletes that we were able to support with some pretty good coaching and a fantastic coaching staff. We made two state finals in 2019, and we played in the spring season in 2021. A couple of three state semis since then, including those two state final appearances. And then a handful of times we also made the state quarterfinals, where for us in Virginia, it would be the region tournament. The base plays of our offense are belly, wing T type belly, and superpower, which is more of a double wing kind of thing. We also run some jet, a handful of rocket. Most of our skills I would consider are traditional wing T skills that come from Tubby Raymond, Denny Crehan, those sorts of wing T families. So those are kind of where most of our skills come from. And we found that those skills, particularly the offensive line fundamentals, work pretty well, regardless of if you're under center or in a pistol. So by the end of this session, I'm going to share with you guys some shoulder skills, some things that we do and worked on with our shoulder skills. I'm going to talk about how I coach players to get into the stance that I believe is the best for our wing T style offense. We're going to go over those steps that they take out of those steps. At the very end, or kind of throughout the presentation, I'll talk a little bit about some of the drills that we do, but you'll really be able to see it's more of an on-field demonstration, even though we're not on an actual field. I've got a player, and I'll walk you through what we do. So now that we've got our shoulder skills progression and we've got our stance, let's talk about getting out of that stance in our first steps. Wing T teams, as a lot of you guys know, are pretty heavy on those first steps, and all teams are pretty heavy on those first steps. And like a lot of wing T teams and other teams, we use bird dog drills with everybody. The first couple of days of practice are spent, everybody's doing bird dog drills. The specific stance that you use really depends on what position you play. Offensive line are coming out of their offensive line stance, obviously, and then skill positions are coming out of theirs. For the offensive line, we kind of have four categories of steps that we use for our run blocking. I'm not going to talk about any of our pass pro blocking and how we work our feet for that. But for our run blocking, we've got four kind of groups of steps. One is an on block. This is used for blocking a defender that is on you. I'll describe that as somebody whose nose is on your nose or toes are on your toes. There are going to be slight variations in that, but essentially it's a straightforward step with the right or left foot. You take a step with your right foot, make contact with the left shoulders, take a step with your left foot, make contact with your right shoulder. That's how I teach the on step and shoulder contact with that. Then we're going to talk about a down block. Down blocks and down steps, rather, are used for blocking defenders who are on your inside gap. We predominantly are looking to stop penetration with our down steps. Occasionally because of that, we want our head to the inside for the most part. We don't want our head upfield. We want our head in the backfield, putting our outside ear on the belly of the defender to stop penetration. Obviously, not all teams are penetrators on defense, so we will adjust that depending on what the other team is doing. The next step that we use is called a scoop step. Scoop steps are kind of like a zone blocking step, and we use them on the backside of belly. We're trying to capture the gap that is to our play side if we're on the backside offensive line. I'll spend a lot of time talking about that in the next session, but a scoop step is the next step. Now, it's really only used in one family of plays, kind of our belly family. Sometimes the backside of jet or rocket, we could use it as well. But because belly is such an important play to us, we're going to talk about it a lot, and we're going to step that quite a bit. And we also have our pull steps. We have a couple of different kinds of pull steps that I moved to. One is a traditional pull step, old school, open up, pull your elbow back, those kind of things. And we use those on traps and cross blocks, but we also use skip pulls. What I call a long skip, which is when you're trying to pull wide to the outside, you want the guard or tackle pulling out wide to the outside to lead outside on someone. Or we also have what I will call a lead skip. A lead skip is when you're trying to pull and get back into the line of scrimmage. You're kind of wrapping, maybe it's a gut play where you're gutting the offensive lineman around to pick up a linebacker. So those are the steps that we talk about, and that's what you'll see now. All right. So we've gone through our shoulder progression. We're going through how I teach kids to get into their stance. And now we're going to work on our steps. We have a few basic steps that we use. Wing-T terminology, you guys that are familiar with traditional Wing-T have all sorts of steps that they use. We really only use 3 different kinds or 4 different kinds of steps. On step, a down step, what I call a scoop step, which is really only used on belly. But as you'll find out in the video I'm making, you'll get in just a little bit. We use belly a lot. And so that's a pretty important step for us. And then we have 2 variations of the trap step. We have a short or kick pull step, and we have a long or skip pull step that we use. I just recently, probably within the last 2 or 3 years, started using that kick pull or skip pull because I felt it really helped get our kids' shoulders downhill when we're running superpower, or when we started to install some A-gap power type stuff. It really benefits that when you want your pullers to get into the line as opposed to kicking out or even pulling wide. Okay, so we're going to start with our on step. So our on step is right foot straight forward. When we make an on step, we're going to step with our right foot or left foot and make contact with our left foot. So on step, right foot, left shoulder is what we're going to be making contact with. On means you are blocking the guy on you. The way that I define on is his toes are on your toes, his nose is on your nose. Now, there's obviously a little bit of variation on that. They could be kind of inside shade as well, but we definitely don't want to on block an outside shade. Inside shade can be more of a down step, but that may wind up being an on step as we'll get to it. I know there's people that will disagree with me, but that's how I approach it. But on step, you're blocking the guy on you. They're either a tight shave or their nose is on your nose, their toes are on your toes. So we take our steps. All of our steps are going to be not 6 inches. I don't like using that phrase, but I want to say do not step past your opposite toe. So if I'm stepping with my right foot, I do not want to step past my left toe. I'm going to keep a nice short step there. So Steve is going to come in. We're going to do an on step first. We're going to go straight ahead. And just like we showed you with our shoulder skills, he's going to show some arm width with this. We'll go 1 step. We always start with 1 step. We call this our bird dog drill. And then again, this is something we do with everybody. Skilled position guys are doing it from standing up. Offensive linemen are doing it from out of their stance. So he's going to get his feet set. Right foot on step. Great. Takes 1 step. His chest is over his thigh. His arms are whipped out. The 2nd step is when he's going to be making contact. And so that's when he's going to get his shoulder up here. Right now, he's pulling that arm back, getting ready for contact. His feet takes 1 step. His chest is over his spine. His nipples over his knees. His knees are over his toes. It's not overextended. He doesn't have a big step. Reset. Left foot on step. 1 step. Left foot on 1 step. Great. To go. Good. 1 short step. And there you go. So that's that bird dog, that first bird dog step. Reset. Turn the other way. Now we're going to show it from the side. I want you to see the distance of his foot, of the distance of his step. From step. Right foot on, right foot on. Great. Good. Okay. Again, you can see that his right heel is just at his left toe. That's as big as I want that step. I don't want him overextended. He can be really powerful right here and really strong right here, despite the fact that he weighs 160 pounds at guard. All right. So he's here, his chest is over his thigh. He's got to be mindful of keeping him nice and low as he comes into contact with keepers, and don't do that. Reset. So left foot. Great. Good. Rabbit's guns, hands top back. Who's ready to go there? Again, you'll see this step. He has stepped straight ahead, not in an angle. He is stepping straight ahead. Good, stand up.